Hey, you like cars? Welcome back. CarQuicks episode. Whoa. Not even coming out this the right way. CarQuicks episode 57. I'm back. Another week. Another week of news. Week of doing well. How are y'all doing? Welcome back once again. It's your wonderful host, Cameron, here for the CarQuicks Podcast. Hope you're doing well. The family, the kids, the friends, everyone in your life that is significant. Hope everything is going well. The car builds are going well. The automotive news is serving you well, serving you, fulfilling you. I'm here to fulfill a couple tidbits of news that I enjoyed throughout the week. It's been about like 2 weeks probably since I put up my last episode. Like I said, I'm busy in the streets, okay? Things are happening. But we're here. So let's just drive in. Let's just drive right into what we're talking about. So, episode 57. We're kind of starting off with I'm going to preface this by saying I am conflicted with how I'm going to speak about this next vehicle and how I feel about it. And that is the 2025 BMW X3. Now, if you are well aware of BMW's kind of lineage of SUVs, I mean, we all know the X5, kind of where it all began. And now we have X1s and X2s and X3s and X4s and X5 and X6 and X7. And if you're thinking, why is there 7 models of an SUV? Is because BMW makes sure that they get every single price point. I mean, some of the stuff is separated by thousands of dollars across a car payment is maybe a couple dollars a month. Some of it overlaps. It just gets kind of confusing if you're not well aware of the fact that they just keep making new models and everything. But for 2025, they have redesigned X3. And here's my opinion on it. Here's what I say. The exterior, as you can see in the video, if you're watching this, but if you're not, let me just take you down this path. BMW has, as of late, been making some fairly polarizing car designs. Very aggressive, very abstract, very angular. That's really what they have been showing, even though they've been trying to clean it up a little bit, right? Some of their EVs, I remember in a podcast a while back, I talked about the 5 Series EV that they made, and they spoke to the fact that they were trying to kind of reduce the polarizing nature of what they were designing. I don't know how true that is, and we're going to kind of circle back to that. But the X3 for 2025 gets redesigned completely. The outside of it is very aggressive, angular, big grills, but they've done a few things that are just odd. I know they're just trying to keep things spicy. Like, for instance, the kidney grills for BMW are, I will say, renowned. Everybody knows this design language. It is just like the Mercedes-Benz Rondo. Everybody knows the kidney grills for BMW stands for Bavarian Motor Works. We already know what it is. So they added slants in the grill. I'm going to show you a picture of the front end. On one hand, I'm like, this just looks odd. On another hand, if I'm looking at it on the car, on the SUV, I can see where they kind of drew some body lines, design language into the slants. It's still odd because are we saying that that's going to be the new kidney grill they put on like SUVs? Are we putting it on the sedans? Like, what's going on? I mean, are we going to stay to our heritage, or are we trying to mix it up, hit the remix, for the next couple years? I don't know, because if you get to the X3 with the M package, like the M50, that one has horizontal black grills like you would normally see on an M Sport package of a BMW. So I don't know if they're trying to go this route. I'm not sure I'm sold on this idea either, because slants plus vertical grills plus slanted grills, I mean, we're already doing a lot. The car is already as angular as you want it to be for an SUV, though. Let me say this. The X3 for 2025 is actually fairly clean. They held back. They could have went crazy, because if I look at it in a different color, like this white color on the M package one with the black, horizontal grille slats. It's clean. I'm not mad at it. Outside looks clean. It's very kind of long in the nose, short in the rear when it comes to how the side profile of the SUV is. So I'm not mad at what this looks like. Now, as far as the engines go, we have the same B58 straight line twin turbo inline six, and the M51 is what gets that motor. That makes 393 horsepower. Am I correct? I'm saying this like I'm not correct, but I feel like I'm wrong on the number. It is 300. Yeah, that's the number. So 393 horsepower, 428 foot-pounds of torque. It's a lot. And now, for anybody that's into the aftermarket world, we already know that the B58 is one of the greatest motors that you can modify. And I've seen some X3 videos on Instagram of these things booking. So you got 393 now, 0 to 60, 4.4 seconds. The standard X30 gets a turbo for 255 horsepower, good for 6 seconds, 0 to 60. Not bad, SUV. And they all get all-wheel drive. So all of them have all-wheel drive, redesigned, clean, same motor, familiar. We know what we're doing. Everybody sees it. They're going to say, okay, I like how this looks. It's clean. They didn't go too crazy. BMW reserved themselves. They restricted their designers from going nuts. And then you open the door. And let me tell you something. When I said I was prefacing what I was saying, it was about this. Because I want to know what's really good, because like I said, the outside is clean, aggressive, the slants on the grill a little questionable, but we can live with that. End package, very clean looking. It's basic SUV. It's nothing. We're not going to get wowed by the design, but we're not turned off by it. But then you open the driver door and there's a lot of questions that have no answers. Okay. I'm going to start off with a couple things. Trying to be cool here. I'm a little conflicted because I have some contradictions possibly on what I'm saying or what I'm feeling. But let me just, I don't know, maybe we'll end on a positive note here, because this interior looks like I should put a quarter somewhere and start up the arcade machine. Do you see this dashboard? I want to take a pause. And if you listen to the audio version of this, I can't really even quantify what I'm looking at because it's so wild. Now, I don't mean wild as in a cool, oh my goodness, look at the intricacies of the details, look at the stitching, look at the titanium bit. No, I'm talking about this looks like it was sponsored by Dave & Buster's. There's lightsabers practically coming out the side of the vents. We got air vents in the door. Not that they didn't have air vents in the door in 90s cars, because they did. But I would argue that those were designed in lieu of how the dash was connected to make it reasonable to have vents in the door. Do you see what they did here? There is a sharp cutoff. Where that vent ends, where that LED, there's an LED strip that circles around the vent that is in bright blue and red. One in the center. It looks like a police lights. When I said an arcade machine, that is what the front of this dashboard looks like. Let's not get into the fact that the dashboard is 4 feet deep of cloth and nothingness. There's nothing there. There's nothing on the front of the dash. They barely put any vents. They slapped 2 big iDrive 9 screens on it. I'm a little flabbergasted. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Considering the fact that I thought they were cool, they were chilling out. The exterior, they were chilling. It was clean. It was cool. And you crack open this door. Yo, what? The M version with this red and blue interior on the dash and these LED lights with brown leather. Who said this combination was fire? I know for certain at this point in time that BMW is proving marketing, brand recognition is paramount. It supersedes all things that may be good and well, okay? Because I just don't. You have to look at these pictures to understand what I'm saying. If you're listening to the podcast and audio only, I'm going to try to explain this. Imagine a dashboard, big screens in front of you. On the sides are big letter V's, basically, on the doors holding air vents with bright red LED strip around it. In the center, there's a bright red and blue strip circling where it looks like to be a wireless charger. Flat bottom steering wheel because this is the M package one. And that's it. I mean, okay, we got to be honest. This is a little crazy considering what we just went through. I guess the future aesthetic, let me get to some positives. Maybe this is what the future aesthetic will age well. Maybe the simplicity of what they designed will make this a tad bit better. I don't know. What I do know is that we are losing sight of interior design. I will stand on that. There will be some people that will look at me and let's think about, you drive a GR Corolla, ain't no interior design, is extra. I get it, cool. I understand. I'm not saying my car is some, testament to interior design. But what I'm saying is when we get into these upper reaches of vehicles, and this isn't an EV, this is a combustion motor, I can see it's like a cop-out, right? The EVs get away with this simple minimalist interior under the guise of electricity and electric and EVs and less things you got to worry about and serenity inside of the cabin. I understand the angle they're trying to go there. Though when you see a company like Lucid show you, hey, you can have an EV and you can have an interior that kind of paints the EV picture, but you still can add some quality to the finishes, to the design. Rivian shows you that as well too. So it's not like I'm asking for something that has not been done, because it has been. But BMW looks like it's trying to take what they do for their EVs and bring it to the combustion cars, removing buttons, removing switchgear, removing overall design, because you cannot tell me that this interior took as much thought as a E38 7 Series or E46 M3. You can't tell me that they had to sit there and think that hard over this interior with these LED lightsabers coming out the side of these air vents. You cannot tell me that this took longer than some of the classic BMW interiors. I refuse to believe it. They put lightsabers on the dashboard and said, have fun at it. Choose your side, light or dark. Oh my God. So, interior notwithstanding, this car will start at $50,675, and if you're moving up to the M50, it will start at $65,000. These things are expensive, and if you want it cheaper, you got to go get an X2 or an X1, which is, these are expensive. The X3 was the baby back in the day. It was X5, then they made an X3, and so like I told you before, we stretched it pretty thin right now. They come out in Q4 of 2024. I'll always say this. Some of the stuff you guys see in person, when the Houston Auto Show comes back, hopefully BMW has some type of representation there like they did some other years before. And I will wait to go see this X3 interior. But I'm telling you, from these pictures, this is wild. Like, we didn't have to do this. We could have very well just had a more sensible idea of what we were trying to achieve here. But overall, I'm sure the car drives fantastic, because I'm never going to doubt BMW's ability to make ultimate driving machines, because that's what they do and that's what they do well. So we'll see what they say. I'm ready to hear some other automotive podcasts I listen to and what they say about that interior, because there ain't no way. There's no way that somebody's going to say, "Yo, they really knocked it out the park that time." Now, speaking about SUVs or just companies in general, Fisker's toast. Yeah, the Fisker. I told you plenty of podcasts ago, multiple times, multiple episodes, I was speaking about Fisker and the inevitable bankruptcy that had now been filed at Chapter 11. It's over. Now, I had a few people that were commenting on some of the videos and shorts I did about the Fisker, saying, yo, the car is amazing. People just hating on it, this and that. I think they took my critique on what it was based on me not liking EVs or something like that. But I do like EVs, so let's just get that out the way. It wasn't about EVs. It was about the fact that Fisker, Henrik Fisker, does he say his first name, has done this twice now. He had a car, Fisker Karma, out of business, bankruptcy. He now makes a Fisker Ocean. Now, granted, this looked like a actually decent car, SUV, an EV SUV, something that looked good, that was going to work well. You had money behind it. You had people buying it. I've seen a few on the road, and I mean a few, but the numbers don't lie. They barely sold 5,000 of these. They couldn't get no money. By the end of February this year, it was already said that this is coming to a close fast. They don't got no money. They were taking spare parts on prototypes of customer cars and inventory to fix customer cars. Listen, it's done. I told you before, don't give people money that have shown you what they're capable of. I don't know how he has managed to make 2 car companies go bankrupt and still will probably have a third one. Listen, at this stage in the game, we don't know what's going to happen. Chapter 11 means that they could reorganize, fix up things. I'm not saying the car looks bad. I'm just saying if you're going to go buy an electric SUV, Ford got you, Tesla got you, Kia got you, Hyundai got you. Some of these other companies that don't have bankruptcy looming over their head got you. You don't got to go this route. Now, if you want probably the most smoking deal ever for an electric SUV, I promise that the Ocean is available. Well, you will be out on the ocean by yourself. Nobody's there to help you. That thing breaks down, you trying to go to the local deal, ain't no dealers. Ain't nobody to call. Like I said, in the Ocean, by your lonesome. Now, speaking about, kind of continue with some EVs, but a cool one nonetheless, and if you don't think this is cool, then I can't help you. Audi puts 912 horsepower into the E-Tron RS performance. Now, if you know Audi E-Tron, you know that it utilizes the same running gear as a Porsche Taycan. And so the Porsche Taycan had a big boost up in performance, up to like 938. Plus, they got that RS version of their turbo GT model or something with the YSEC package. I talked about it before. So Audi gets the e-tron, gets the performance edition, and the main difference between these two top spec of the e-trons is that the RS GT performance one has 2 distinct buttons on the steering wheel. Both red, plus there's a red strip in the center of the steering wheel, flat bottom, Alcantara, the choice Audi materials. The first button is called Boost, and that gives you a 94 horsepower, 10-second boost for maximum power. And then the second button is RS, which changes out the drive modes. At maximum power, 912 horsepower, we're talking about 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Range is 378 miles with a charging rate up to 80% in 18 minutes. So this is a very good setup. Like, I love how the e-tron looks. I also love the fact that coming from what we just talked about, interior design, look at the interior design of this electric vehicle and you can see what I'm talking about. You can design proper interiors, and Audi has been one of the pioneers of interior design. BMW was there too. I don't know what's going on right now, but they know what they know what to do. I don't know what's going on right now though. However, so Audi has this new e-tron Performance GT out. Suspension has been tweaked to match what the Taycan has from the performance. Pricing was not announced, but given a 912 horsepower EV Grand Touring, $150,000 should be probably where we're starting this off, because I can't imagine it being any cheaper. And that's pretty much the difference between them. There's a bunch of other e-tron models, but the GT Performance one is the newest one with the 912 horsepower. And listen, 150,000 might be me lowballing, to be perfectly honest. Now, jumping to something else that I saw. Nissan has released what should have been released the very first time, and that is the Nissan Z Heritage Edition. This is an aesthetic package for the Nissan Z. So the Nissan Z has been out for a while. Everybody knows about it. They got a Nismo edition. They got the regular one, but the Heritage one introduces a split grille on the bumper. Now, the split grille portion was shown probably back in like Tokyo Auto Salon. It's been a year coming that they've been talking about this Heritage Edition. Strictly aesthetic, no power mods, no changes. The wheels on here are inspired by what looks like Watanabe's, which is a JDM classic wheel. Look it up if you don't know. Truly classic. These are definitely inspired by that design. Split grille looks like the 280Z, 260Z is going back to its heritage. Like they said, Heritage Edition. It looks good. I can imagine this lower front lip, things like that. You know me and my modifications. I can see this looking very good. Very JD inspired. Looks much better than the stock Nissan Z front bumper. However, before we continue with the accolades, this is a pricey appearance package. This thing starts at $60,275. Remind you, the Nismo ain't too far away from that $60,000 starting. And if you're wondering what that means to the base one, that's $16,000 more than the base Nissan Z for split grille front bumper, Watanabe inspired wheels, a little black decal stripe on the car, maybe the special orange color that I'm picturing, and that's it. No power, no strut bars, no extra doodads, just 16 grand extra to look a little bit better. I don't know how many of these are going to sell, but for the Nissan enthusiast, maybe somebody that has a 280Z or a 260 or somebody that has had all the special edition Nissan Z cars, this is for them. But if you're going to the dealership because you want a Nissan Z, I mean, you don't got to get the Heritage Edition unless you really feel like you want that front bumper and everything. It would have been cool to just add a little bit more. Maybe like change out the seats, some stitching. Maybe there were Carol bucket seats from the Nismo going this one. Just a little extra, maybe different shift knob, change out the steering wheel, just a little bit extra to make you feel like I got something a little bit more special. This interior looks dead on like a regular Z. It's just the outside looks so much better. And it's $16,000. It's a lot. Now, continue with Nissan. While they're introducing the Heritage Edition of the Nissan Z, they are singing the swan song for the GTR. The R35 is coming to a close. And I've joked about this car essentially looking the same since 2009 to 2024. But jokes aside, Nissan achieved a lot when it comes to this GTR, the R35, because if you go to Texas 2K, if you look at drag racing videos, if you look at highway runs, these big monster builds from companies like AMS, the Nissan GTR, the R35 one, has proven to hold on to the Godzilla name. As you see, I got Godzilla right next to me. If you look at the video, I got Godzilla standing right there. It's held on to that name, that Godzilla name that came from the R32 from its dominance in racing. They have, I feel, kept that name and that heritage with the R35. We're talking about a car that when it first came out was talked about it being too heavy, too big, but it was punching above its weight. It was handling better than it should. And they tweaked and honed and tuned that chassis to the point that we have now where any Nismo R35 GTR, regular R35 GTR, any video, any comparison video, any road test, they all say this thing performs. There's no lack of performance. You will need a lot of more car to beat this in the twisties, on the track, in a drag race. So they've proven that this has been one of the greatest runs of their car, or any modern sports car, supercar, because it started off at a lower price. As it got on years later, I don't know if I would necessarily say it's worth some of the $200,000 price tags that they can kind of get close to. But listen, now that it's done, I ain't knocking, maybe one day, I get to the means of getting like a 2012 little R35 and having fun with one, because I've been in one, I've driven one. They feel great. It's a very computerized. Some people say it feels like you're playing a video game. It's not as visceral or engaging as an R34 or 33 or 32 manual RB26 motors. But if you're talking about modern supercar, and I say supercar just because on the price of the new ones, or modern super sports car, then this is still one of the best ones. So I don't know what's going to be next. I will say, given where Nissan is going, we're hard pressed to see them do this again on a regular sports car. The Nissan Z is the last, and if they're getting rid of the GTR, us getting another combustion, brand new twin turbo V6 motor without hybrid or electrification is zero. I mean, we already know that the next version of whatever they make, given the Hypervision concept that I showed many podcasts ago, given what the future holds for Nissan, guaranteed this next GTR or whatever it may be is electrified in some way. Now, speaking about supercars and things like that, Ferrari has decided that they no longer are going to be putting navigation systems in your $300,000 supercars. They've had it. You got Android Auto and you got a wireless CarPlay. Have fun. Now, they have a good point because in-vehicle navigation systems are usually not up to date. Usually something's lacking. Usually something isn't there. And so it makes sense that they would say, we're not dealing with this anymore, so just have it with your phone. But if you road trip, when you reach an area that doesn't have a signal, if you don't already have your route running, if you try to bring up your phone and find a new route, it can't find it because there's no signal. So in-car navigation does work good in that sense because it doesn't need a cell tower in order to operate. Not that Ferrari owners are truly taking big road trips unless they're doing some road rallies somewhere in the States where they probably have cell phone reception everywhere. But for those that have done road trips like myself out of the country, you know that at some point in time, you're going to lose reception. And if that navigation isn't already up and running or programmed into something else that doesn't need a cell tower, you pretty much toast. It's over. Or you got some offline maps. So Ferrari said they're not doing with it. It's not a crazy idea. A lot of companies are doing that. I just think that when you only tether your phone, you are left to the powers of whatever cell tower or nearby. And if you don't have one or you don't have a strong signal, you're going to be looking at your phone like this thing is a brick right now. I get some quick news before I roll up out of here. The Ford GTD, I already slow myself down because I say something else. The Ford GTD is coming. They've already shown videos. They've shown it running on the streets. They showed the interior. And the interior looks like a Mustang and I saw some comments that said, for $325,000, this interior gotta look like, and I'm like, it's gotta look like a Mustang. Just like any other car looks like it. Now, I guess because of the price point, they were thinking it'd be more bespoke like the Ford GT. But the Ford GT is double the price of the GTD Mustang. And just like the Porsche and the Porsche GT3 RS and GT3, they look like the Porsche 911, correct? They look like the regular 911. So Ford is going to make this look like the Mustang. They got some titanium bits, exposed carbon fiber trim, carbon buckets. Cool little party trick is the cantilever suspension in the rear. You can see in the opening. And it's cool. I mean, this is a dedicated track car. I think it's worth the money for talking about what they built into it. Though if I had $300,000, I probably would not spend it on a Mustang, even though this is a crazy Mustang. But if they said you got $300,000, you need to go buy yourself a car, there's a lot of options. But cool nonetheless. So they got that working. They have this little suspension in the back. You can see little window. They haven't talked about any reviews. I'm waiting to see a video on somebody driving it because I want to see what they say about it. Somebody like Chris Harris, somebody get behind the wheel and really get busy. So we'll see what happens. Some quick news that I did read about was Smart Car. You remember Smart Car? Little small two-seater. Looked like the car that, Steve Urkel had in Family Matters. I know I'm throwing it way back. And that was a BMW, by the way. But Smart Car. They still exist. I thought they left the U.S. back in like 2012. They stopped making them cars out here, but they actually still make cars, and they made an electric SUV that has 670 horsepower. I mean, yes, Smart Car, 670 horsepower, electric SUV. I told you, these horsepower numbers on the electric cars is just like outrageous. And speaking about the outrageous, Ford has an insane looking F-150 Lightning EV that they're taking to Pikes Peak. This, you can just see the picture, looks outrageous. Clearly, it has one thing and one goal only: downforce and get up this mountain as fast as we can. 1,400 horsepower tri-motor setup. I know this sounds nuts because when you get to these really high horsepower EVs, they have a really cool, I say Jetsons, future space, Odyssey sound. I like how they sound. 1,400 tri-motor. I also love Pikes Peak and hill climb events. And I'm going to get to one of these one day. I'm going to pay attention to when they take this up there to watch whatever live stream video they have of that thing running. Koenigsegg Jesko. the owners of that have been told, stop driving your cars. Now, there's only about 30 owners because we're talking about a $3 million hypercar. They're only making 125 of them, but one of them burned down in Greece. They don't know the reason. It caught up in flames. It was on some like hypercar rally. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was injured. But Koenigsegg themselves said, stop driving the car, all 30 of y'all. I'm sure they just sent a mass text, group text like, yo, hey, keep the keys in the safe where you probably already got them. Half of them probably won't even drive in a car. But they don't know what started the fire. They're investigating what it is. But one of the things they said was that the car that burned down had a $400,000 exposed carbon body option. Not your car, not your house, an option for $400,000. Man, hopefully the person that has that gets another one, because they're not hurt, so it's better. But I know they're not sitting out there crying because they lost a $4 million car. Insurance and the fact that you can even afford a $4 million hypercar says you are up. Now, GR Corolla updates before I get up out of here. Not that many because I haven't put nothing on the car recently. I have some friends getting some stuff they want me to help record and the stuff that they're putting on. Me, myself, haven't done anything. I've made some changes in my mind, though. So I had a friend of mine gave me a circuit wing off his car because he changed his to a forged carbon one. And I was like, yeah, I want to put the wing on. And then another friend of mine I bought a circuit edition hood from, sitting at his house. I need to go get that because he's moving. But I keep changing my mind. I think the circuit hood I will do. The wing, I'm on the fence of because I really want these parts from SAR Japan. And I don't know how much they're going to cost because we don't have a cost for USD. And distributors add this stupid tax for profit on top of their cars, which I get is business, but they be going crazy. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to put the wing on if I want to take it off. And that is where I'm pausing because the wing that I like from SAR attaches to basically the stock body of the GR Corolla, the little small subtle wing it has. So I put on a circuit one, then I'm kind of like, I got to take that off again. So I'm kind of in a weird space. I'm like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I don't know yet, but I'm on the fence. I may be changing my mind. HKS though announced that they're going to be making crate motors for the GR Corolla. Now that is substantial. HKS crate motors, the only ones I've ever heard about or seen or saw people shooting videos on are the people that build GTRs, R33s, 2s, and 4s. They get these HKS crate motors that cost like 20 to 30 grand. Monster motors, fabulous, awesome. HKS taking that engine building prowess to the GR Corolla? I don't know how much these motors are going to cost. They're not going to be cheap. I don't know if they'd be as much as the RB26 from HKS, but let's just say they cost 10 to 15,000. I don't know. Probably a little bit more. But that's very cool because let's say you just, like me, you're driving your GR Corolla, you get it all up to 100,000 miles, it's been driving, you've been beating on it, this and that, and you want to refresh the HKS crate motor? I can see that happening. I can see a lot of things happening, but for right now, what I can see happen is me getting up out of here. So as I always say, do as you wish and do as you may. It's Cameron Biggs, your host. Thank you for joining on another episode of CarQuicks. I'll see y'all around. Peace.